Hari Om and welcome again everyone to our final night of this Tulsi Ramayana Yajna celebrating with Chinmay Mission Bakersfield. It's very nice to see that all of us have maintained our attendance throughout these last couple of days, which means we are seeing some value connecting to something in this Tulsi Ramayana, and that only shows that this work of Goswami Tulsidas Ji itself has volumes of teaching and guidance for all of us. So again, we continue tonight with our final night of this Tulsi Ramayana Yajna. So let us begin with our invocation prayer. सरस्वते नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणे विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयम् नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् Let us sing Bhagwan's name a little bit. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama 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 Syavar Ramachandra ki Jai Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj ki Jai. Together let us chant our Tulsi Ramayana Mangalacharanam of Balakanda. Varnana अर्थसङ्घानां रसानां छन्दसामपि मङ्गलानां च कर्तारौ वन्दे वाणी विनायकौ भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ते सिद्धा स्वान्तस्तमेश्वरम् वन्दे बोधमयं नित्यं गुरुं शङ्कररूपिणं यमाश्रितो हि वक्रोऽपि सर्वत्र वन्द्यते सीतारामगुणग्राम पुण्यारण्यविहारिणो वन्दे विशुद्धविज्ञानो कवीश्वर कपीश्वरौ उद्भवस्थितिसंहारकारिणीं क्लेशहारिणीं सर्वश्रेयस्करीं सीतां नतोऽहं रामवल्लभाम् यन्मायावशवर्ति विश्वमखिलं ब्रह्मादिदेवासुराः यत्सत्त्वातमृषैव भाति सकलं रज्जौ यथा भ्रमः यत्पादप्लवमेकमेव हि भवाम्बोधे स्थितिर्षावत्ताम् वन्देऽहं तमशेषकारणपरम् रामाख्यमीशं हरिम् रामाख्यमीशं हरिम् Goswami Tulsidas ji spending quality time with us through these Mangala Charanams to help us, to point out to us the greatness and glory of that Lord, because of whom our great projects and tasks that we take up, their successful completion, their successful fulfillment, whatever it is that I have taken up as a goal for my life, that success is dependent upon that project itself also is auspicious, initiated auspiciously only when I have invoked the grace and blessings of Bhagavan. For this, as we have seen throughout all of these nights, for this only is the purpose of this Mangala Charanam, to tune ourselves with that Lord, because of whom everything is possible and our prosperity also is made possible. In our last session, last satsang in our yesterday's class, we were now reflecting upon this most beautiful Mangala Charana Shloka, the 6th Shloka, where Goswami Tulsidas ji declares what is the subject matter of this Tulsi Ramayana. And the subject matter of Tulsi Ramayana is Rama. Now, but who is this Rama? If that question arises in our mind, what is the nature of that Rama? What is the glory of that Rama? Who is that Rama? Then Goswami says, Yanmaya vashavarti vishwamakhilam brahmadi deva suraha. That Rama is the one because of whom all beings, Brahma adi deva, suraha, asuraha, all devatas and the entire akhilam vishwam, this entire universe of inert and sentient, the one who maintains, sustains the entire universe, who maintains the laws of this universe, ensuring that all beings stay within the framework of the universe and all of its laws, the one who maintains that Paramatma who is the intelligent, efficient cause of this universe, the one who maintains the law of karma and karma phala for all beings to get their right due, their deserving due. That Lord who is that intelligent cause, that is our Rama, which is spoken here of in Tulsi Ramayana. Not only is Rama merely the intelligent cause, but also Yat Sattvat Amrashaiva Bhati Sakalam Rajau Yatha Hir Brahmaha. That Lord, Paramatma, because of whom this entire universe appears, that which lends existence, lends material, lends substance to, lends reality to, this entire world of names and forms, this entire universe, the entire plurality, just as that rope lends existence to snake. Without rope, where would there be an appearing snake? Just as that rope lends a substratum for snake to appear, so too, that Paramatma, Parabrahma also being the substratum, the material cause, allows for the entire universe to appear. Meaning, everything has dependent reality upon Paramatma, Parabrahma. And that Parabrahma, Paramatma, who is the very substratum, the very material cause of this universe, that is Rama. Rama being the both the intelligent cause, efficient cause, and also the material cause, as the adhishthanam, as the substratum of the entire universe. But we were saying yesterday, just knowing that Rama is so great, that Rama is, he is the cause of this, he is so great. Why would I want to have a relationship with such a Rama? Rama by himself is great, that is great. But what is that Rama going to do for me? So it is said that Bhagavan Sri Rama is not somebody sitting up there away from us who is such a great, exalted, aloof being. But he is Yat pada plavam ekam eva hi bhavam bodhe stitirsavatam. For those who are titirshavatam, for those who are desirous of crossing over this bhava ambodhe, this ocean of samsara, this ocean of change, limitation, sorrows, finitude, duality, plurality, for those who wish to cross over that, Bhagwan's pada, Bhagwan's feet, becomes Yat pada plavam ekam evahi. And this we saw yesterday. Goswami Tulsidas Ji is saying here, highlighting here, ascertaining here, with great conviction, that there are no many support systems, many rafts to take us across this ocean of samsara. Love for Bhagwan, worship and surrender to the feet of the Lord, that alone is the raft to take us across this samsara. No, but someone may ask this question, that I have heard of so many paths in spirituality, the path of karma yoga, the path of bhakti yoga, the path of jnana yoga, the path of raja yoga, so many sadhanas, so many paths. And here it is said, Yat pada plavam ekam evahi. That the only raft, means the only helpful means and tool to take us across this samsara is taking support of the feet of the Lord. So what we should understand here in this context, in the vision of Goswami Tulsidas Ji, in the vision of this Tulsi Ramayana, the ultimate sadhana is taken as Sharanagati. I mentioned this earlier. Sharanagati, surrender, total surrender. That total surrender, because of which Bhagwan himself sends Guru and Shastra in our lives and lifts us with that knowledge. Either way, we have to gain knowledge. Some of us will have to put forth effort, go to Guru, go do studies, gain this knowledge. Some of us, Bhagwan himself will say, you know what, you are my bhakta, you are my devotee, you are not going to struggle. I will find my way to you. You may have been looking, you may have not seen where teacher is, where scripture is, but I will find my way to you. Whether you know it or not, I will find my way to you. That's called Sharanagati. Bhagwan, moksha seems very far away from me. But all I know is, I love you, Lord. Whether I will gain moksha or not, whether I will gain this knowledge or not, who knows? But that much I know, you are taking care of me. For such a bhakta, such a devotee who has surrendered to Bhagwan, Bhagwan himself will come. Bhagwan says in Bhagavad Gita, Dadami buddhi yogam. I will give them buddhi yoga. I will give them jnanam. I will give them knowledge. So we should have no doubt also when it is said, Yat pada plava, that ekamevahi, that Bhagwan's feet alone is the raft to take us across. But then what about studying Vedanta? What about other paths? He says, no. Even if we surrender to the Lord with sincerity and devotion, then even that surrender also leads to Bhagwan himself sending teacher and Shastra in our lives. And actually, the sadhaka who is able to practice is not a good word, express Sharanagati, surrender towards the Lord, the journey for that sadhaka becomes struggle-free. This we should think about a little bit. You see, when I feel that every stage of my journey, whether it be, of course, we are talking about the spiritual journey, but in any field, where I feel that my every effort or lack of effort is going to affect the result, change the result, means I am very much result focused, result oriented. Then what happens? Contemplating on that result again and again, am I able to enjoy the moment of the present in doing the action? But the one who surrenders says, Bhagwan, I am going to do, but anyways, you have a plan for me. And if you send me here or you send me there, if you take me there or you take me here, wherever, oh Lord, I know everything is going according to your plan. Our Puja Guruji very beautifully says, if we want to make God laugh, do you know how to make God laugh? Puja Guruji says, if you want to make God laugh, you tell him your plans. Because we all plan thinking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to get this done, I'm going to get that done. And we plan our whole life 20 years, 30 years ahead. Does it really ever go according to how we had planned it many years back? I know for one, I never planned to become a brahmachari. But how it happens? Bhagwan only. Bhagwan alone is our boatman taking us across. Sometimes we are here, sometimes we are there. Sometimes we live for long, sometimes we live for short. Who knows? But that Shraddha, that Vishwas should be there. Bhagwan, you are there to take care, na? So even when I have to make sacrifices for my spiritual part, even if I have to go through little difficulty for my spiritual goal, then also, Bhagwan, you are there to take care. I will do my part, whatever I can do. But you are there to take care. Even if I have to go through difficulty, even if I have to choose the less easier part, then Lord, you are there. So I have nothing to worry about. Now with this type of bhavana, this type of feeling, then tell me, won't our sadhana life be less struggle free? But when I think, if I have this feeling, today I have to do 10 rounds of japa. If I don't do 10 rounds of japa, I am not a good sadhaka. I am not a good devotee. If this is my mentality, how will it look if I don't come to satsang today? Everyone is expecting that I will show up for satsang. If I don't show up, what will happen? I have to go to satsang. Now, if this is my type of thinking, vision, then whatever sadhana I am doing will be struggle only. Whether it be attending satsang or doing japa or puja or whatever. But the one who says, Bhagwan, you alone have said in scripture how to worship you, how to reach you. Now I am going to try. Because you have given me that strength, that ability, that resource to reach you, to get to know how to reach you. And I will try with whatever little effort I can put forth. But you, O Lord, you know my heart. You know my shortcomings. You know my limitations. You know how much this jiva can really do on his own. Therefore, you please take things into your hands, O Lord. Or help me to recognize that everything is in your hands. And therefore, I only have to do my part. It is said when Bhagwan Sri Rama, along with the army of monkeys, were constructing that bridge to cross to Lanka, even the little squirrels which were there, how much impact would they have made by taking sand in their fur and dusting it off on the bridge? They used to go in the sand in the near forest, rub their fur against the sand, bring it to the bridge and dust themselves off. How much impact they were making? But even that little effort also Bhagwan recognized, Bhagwan Sri Ram, and he lifted them up and patted them and gave them lot of love. We are very, efficient beings. We think, yes, okay, I have to build this bridge. Okay, let me see how much material is required. Let me see how much sand, how much rocks, how much this. We think mathematically, systematically, efficiently, how to get this done in this amount of time, this amount of material. And that little squirrel is thinking, whatever I can do to serve the Lord. I don't know how much is required to build a bridge, but whatever little I can do, I'm going to do. With total love for the Lord, that whatever I can do, I will do. Why? Because it's for my Lord. then the Lord lifts him up and showers him with love. So really speaking, the one who has this bhavana towards Bhagavan, that in this spiritual journey of mine, in this journey of life, to achieve that goal of moksha, even though I may not be able to go at the pace that I want to go to, even though I may not be able to do sadhanas and great amounts of tapas and penance, etc., oh Lord, I have that love and faith in you that you have a plan for me. And even with that type of bhavana, if someone says you will have to be born in one more life, you will say, ha, I will take another life. If it means that Bhagavan is guiding me and taking me towards my goal, what is there to be born one more time? Anyways, we have been born countless lives. If someone said you'll have to take one more birth and then you'll reach the goal, what is one birth, one more birth in the vast expanse of countless births that we have gone through? So a real bhakta who has surrendered, he or she is not afraid even of taking another birth. What is there? My Bhagavan is there, no? Even if I have to take another birth, to kya? It doesn't matter. Because Bhagavan is my boatman. Bhagavan is my life support system, my raft system. Yat pada plavam ekamevahi, my only support system. To cross over this ocean of samsara. To stop once and for all this cycle of birth and death and change and finitude and limitations and sufferings. That Lord alone is my raft, my support. Therefore, Vandeham tamashesha karana param Ramakhyamisham harim. Therefore, aham vande, I offer salutations to that Lord Harim, Narayana, Bhagavan Vishnu, who is Ramakhyam, who is called now as Rama, who is Isham, who is actually Ishvara, Paramatma. But this last adjective now you see, I have left this adjective as the last because it is the highest understanding of Rama. Tam ashesha karana param. Bhagavan Shri Rama here is defined as, characterized as ashesha karana param. Tam means that, or to him who is ashesha karana param. So now let us see what are the words here. There are some three words: ashesha, karana and param. So karana word we must be familiar with. Karana means cause. So in the earlier first two lines we saw the nimitta karana, the intelligent cause, the upadana karanam, the material cause. So here Bhagavan is said to be karana param, higher than, superior to, beyond. Para means, one meaning of para is beyond. One other meaning of para is shreshta, supreme. But here we should take the meaning beyond. What is said here? Rama is karana param, beyond cause. Beyond which cause? How many causes are there in this universe? Well, earlier it was said, Udbhava sthiti samhara karinim. There is that Maya Shakti who is also the cause of the entire plurality. Then you said, but there was a cause who? Yanmaya Vashavarati Vishwamakhilam, the one who, the intelligent cause who controls and guides all beings and the entire universe and maintains all laws. That's another cause. Then you said, Upadana Yat Sattva Damashaiva Bhati Saktalam, the one who lends existence to, supports as the very material of the entire universe. That also is cause. Then of course in science we have so many causes for so many effects in the universe. So many causes are there for various aspects of the creation, various aspects of the universe. Rama is said to be Ashesha Karana Param. Ashesha means all without leaving one behind. All causes without leaving one behind is called Ashesha. Ashesha means completely, without leaving one behind. Rama is beyond each and every and all causes in this universe. Now, what is being pointed out here? A very deep and subtle concept in our Vedanta is pointed out by this word. You see, in this universe, the law of causation plays a big role in understanding how this world functions and also how we can make best use of this environment experience, what we call as this world. So we understand the world to make better use of it, to do something with it, to utilize it. So utility value is there in knowing the relationship of causation between things. In our Vedanta, the fundamental or foundational teaching of our scriptures speak of connecting the universe, the creation, Jagat, to its cause, Jagat Karanam Ishwaraha, Paramatma, Bhagavan. This is just one stepping stone in the teaching of Vedanta. That there is a world, this world is an effect, its cause is Bhagavan, Paramatma. So cause-effect relationship is shown between the universe, Jagat, and the Lord of the universe, Jagadishwara. So Jagadishwara and Jagat, their sambandha, their relationship of being cause and effect is shown. But the scriptures do not stop there. The scriptures go on to explain even further that what we call as this dual relationship between cause and effect, really speaking, there is a one non-dual principle which is actually beyond both cause and effect. What? One non-dual principle which is actually beyond both cause and effect. What do you mean by that? So simple example is there in our Vedanta to explain this. Let us say I have a pot. I don't have a pot physically proximate to me right now. Just imagine that I have a pot in my hand. When I see that pot and I say, this is a pot. What is this pot made up of? So what will be any logical man's answer? This pot is made up of clay, correct? So I will say, pot is an effect of clay. Clay will be the cause, pot will be the effect. Everyone following thus far? So there is clay the cause, there is pot the effect. So I see a cause-effect relationship between clay and pot. So there is a karanam, the cause, clay, and there is karyam, the effect, pot. Now, the scriptures say, look a little bit closer. Scriptures say, okay, how many things you are seeing? I saw two things. I saw the cause and I saw the effect. Alright, you saw two things. You saw cause and effect. Say, okay, I'll take the cause, you take the effect. I'll take the clay, you take the pot. Who is going to go home empty-handed? If I take the clay and you take pot, what are you going home with? Someone is going to be very unhappy. If I take clay, then is there anything called pot to be taken by you? So what I call as pot, the effect, really speaking is a name and form of the cause only, clay. It has no independent reality and existence apart from the cause. Means when I say pot, any part of that pot that I am referring to is clay and clay only. But somehow that pot, that clay in a certain shape, I give a new name and seemingly attribute a new level of reality to it. Really speaking, it is clay and clay only. But now I said there is clay, and then clay was the cause and pot is the effect. As though effect has some substantial independent reality apart from clay. It is, really speaking, clay and clay only. So what I call as pot is fundamentally, substantially, clay and clay only. So effect, pot is really speaking, clay in another form with another name. Really speaking, it has no independent reality of its own, no substance of its own. That's why if I take clay and you take pot, you go home empty-handed. But now even further Vedanta says, to establish that clay is the cause of pot and that pot is an effect of clay and pot is nothing but clay in some name and form, Vedanta says no, that is not enough. Go even further. You see, if I understand that effect is nothing but the cause in another name and form, really speaking, there is only cause. I'll repeat again. If I understand that the effect, like pot, is really speaking clay and clay only, then there is nothing really speaking called effect. It is cause and cause only. Everyone following this point thus far? Just give me a thumbs up if we are following up to this. Alright. Vedanta doesn't stop there also. One step further. Says, oh, so you understand. There is really only one thing, cause. There is no effect. Effect was nothing but cause in another name, but it is cause only. Vedanta says, okay, if there is nothing called effect, then why give something the title as cause? See, cause title is only there if there is an effect. Correct or not? For something to be called as cause, for example, if I am a single bachelor, unmarried, then can I call myself father? I need to have the effect, the child to be there to call myself as father. Without child, can I call myself as father? Without effect, I can't call myself as cause, father. Likewise, if pot is nothing but clay, and there is clay and clay only, then why should I call clay as cause? To be given the status of cause, there needs to be some relational effect. But we just said effect, the pot is really speaking cause and cause only. Just a different name and form, but it is cause only. It is clay only. So then why give the title cause if there is no real thing called effect? Effect is only a play of the cause only. It is cause and cause only. Clay and clay only. There is no such thing called pot. It is clay and clay only. Then why call clay as cause? So Vedanta says, a better title would be to say clay is beyond cause and beyond effect. In Sanskrit, this is called Karya Karana Vilakshanam. Karya Karana Vilakshanam, beyond cause and effect. You cannot say it is cause because there is no effect. Effect is nothing but cause in some name and form. And because there is nothing other than cause, you do not need to give it a title cause because there is only one thing. And therefore, Vedanta says, and in conclusion, the real understanding of the Upanishads understand that Brahma cause and effect. So this word Ashesha Karana means what? That Rama is Nirguna Brahma, beyond all cause and effect. This is the meaning of the word Ashesha Karana Param. That Nirguna Brahma, which is spoken alone, is Rama. And that is of course the highest understanding of Rama. And highest understanding of Rama. To that Rama who is Brahma, Nirguna, attributeless, formless. To that Rama who is Ishvara, who plays the role of being the intelligent cause, the material cause, who is avatar of Narayana, Harim. To that Rama whose feet is my only raft, my only support system, to that Rama, Aham Vande. I offer salutations and prostrations. Now what a meaningful packed shloka this is, huh? See how many ideas are presented in this one shloka. How many different understandings of Rama. If at some later point we get to study this Rama in further, we will see this very word Rama itself, from etymology and in Sanskrit derivation, how many meanings that Rama word can come up to mean. But this shloka is jam-packed with beautiful teachings. There is Upanishadic teaching, there is the Puranic teaching also of the Avatar, there is also Vedic teaching with karma phala, the intelligent cause. Such beautiful gems are nicely weaved into this Mangalacharana shloka by Goswami Tulsidas Ji. I think it deserves to be chanted again. Do you not think so? Let us chant together one more time. Yanmaya vashavarti vishwamakhilam brahmadideva sura yat sattvatamrshaiva bhati sakalam rajau yathahiramaha yat padaplavamekamev hi bhavam bodhe stitirshavataam vandeham tamasheshakaranparam Ramakyamisham harim Ramakyam Isham harim. To that Lord of this universe, Paramatma, Parabrahma, who now is called here as Rama, Ramakyam, that same Parabrahma of the Upanishad, that same Ishvara, Lord of this universe, that Lord whom devotees have surrendered to cross this ocean of samsara, that Lord alone is the subject matter of this Tulsi Ramayana. Now, with that, Goswamiji completes the prostrations in Sanskritam. The Vandana is not over. In fact, we are just beginning this topic in Tulsi Ramayana of Namaskara or Vandana. So the entire topic we call in Sanskrit Vandana Prakaranam, the section or chapter on Namaskara, because this will go on and on and on. Those who have studied this Tulsi Ramayana will know. This will go on and on, never ending. You will wonder, when will Ramayana really start? Continuously. Dohas and chaupais again and again. Only Namaskara, Namaskara, Namaskara. So this entire Vandana Prakaranam, up to this is the Vandana Prakaranam in Sanskritam, means the salutations being offered in Sanskritam. Now, the next verse is also in Sanskritam, but here Goswami Tulsidas Ji explains two things. First thing, what is the source or the authority for this Tulsi Ramayana? What is the source or authority for this Tulsi Ramayana? Means, is this my own fanciful imagination, or is there some authoritative source from which I have gained this wisdom? So what is the source or the origin or the authority, in Sanskrit the pramana, for this Tulsi Ramayana? And secondly, why am I writing this Tulsi Ramayana? The prayojanam, the purpose for this Tulsi Ramayana. So two things. What is the source or the origin or the authority for this Tulsi Ramayana? And secondly, what is the purpose behind Goswamiji composing this Tulsi Ramayana? The prayojanam. Very beautifully now, it is given in the 7th Mangalacharanam. So Satish ji, you can repeat after me. Please unmute ji. Nana Purana Nigamagama Sammatam Yad
Nana Purana Nigamagama Sammatam Yad
Ramayane Nigaditam Kvachidanyatopi
Ramayane Nigaditam Kvachidanyatopi
Swanta Sukhaya Tulsi Raghunatha Gatha
Swanta Sukhaya Tulsi Raghunatha Gatha
Bhasha Nibandhamati Manjula Matanote
Bhasha Nibandhamati Manjula मातनोति
भाषा निबंधमतिम अंजुलम मातनोति
बाष्पानिबन्धमतिमज्जुलमातनोति
Together everyone. नाना पुराण निगमागम सम्मतं यद् रामायणे निगदितं क्वचिदन्यतोऽपि स्वान्तसुखाय तुलसी रघुनाथ गाथा भाषा निबन्धमतिमञ्जुलमातनोति भाषा निबन्धमतिमञ्जुलमातनोति हरि ओम. So what are the two questions we have to answer? What is the source or the origin of this, the authority behind this Tulsi Ramayana? And what is the purpose, the prayojanam for Goswamiji writing? You see, in our Vedanta Shastra it is said, if purpose of something is not pointed out, not even a dull man would get engaged. Prayojanam anuddishya na mandopi pravartate. Even manda person, even dull person, if a purpose is not pointed out, not even a dull person will get engaged. So Goswamiji also has studied scripture, so he knows. If I don't tell what is the purpose behind this Tulsi Ramayana, then no one will ever open this book. So the prayojanam, the purpose is given, as well as the source, the origin, the authority behind this lila, this katha in the form of Tulsi Ramayana. So now what does Goswamiji say? Nana Purana Nigamagama Sammatam Yad. Yet, that which is Nana Purana Nigama Agama Sammatam. Sammata means that which is in line with, that which is following the theme of, it's called Sammata. That which is in line with, following the theme of. Nana means many. Many we should understand all. All the Puranas, all the Nigama here means Veda, and Agama means all the other Shastras apart from Veda, which means apart from Shruti, Smriti, Itihasa, etc. Yet Nana Purana Nigamagama Sammatam. Goswami says this Ramayana has its authority, its origin, its source from the various Puranas which are there. So some 18 Puranas are there. The Nigama means the Vedas, including the Upanishads, and Agama means all the other ancillary scriptures, Itihasa, etc., Smriti, etc. All scriptures, Goswami says, the theme of this Tulsi Ramayana is in alignment with, in accordance with the teachings of the Vedas, the Puranas, the other Shastras, all in alignment, Sammatam. Now you may wonder, what? Where it is said that this Tulsi Ramayana is in alignment with the Vedas, etc. So in our Vedas, one Upanishad is there called as Ramottara Tapaniya Upanishad. Ramottara Tapaniya Upanishad. There, this Rama is worshipped as, pointed out as Nirguna Brahma. So Upanishad also talks of Rama. In the Puranas, the Vishnu Purana, Atma Purana, Skanda Purana, etc., many of them speak of Rama Avatara. Bhagavatam speaks of Bhagavad Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam also speaks of Rama Avatara. So whatever is said in the Vedas, in Upanishad, in the Puranas, they are all in line with what is said here in Tulsi Ramayana. It means, Goswami is saying, this is not some independent fanciful imagination. This is not my original copyright composition. I can't patent or copyright this work. This is already given and said and revealed by Bhagwan to great rishis in the past. Nothing is my own. Everything belongs to the great rishis and the great scriptures of our tradition. Everything is alignment with the Shastras, the scriptures. Not only that, yet Ramayane Nigaditam. It is also speaking of what is said in Ramayana. Ramayana means in Valmiki Ramayana, Nigadita means what is spoken of. So there is also themes in accordance with, themes associated with what is said in Valmiki Ramayana. So the origin or the source of the Tulsi Ramayana, it is a derivation of Valmiki Ramayana. Yet Ramayana Nigaditam, what was mentioned and said in that original epic of Valmiki Ramayana, that also is, that theme is carried over in Tulsi Ramayana. But also keeping in accordance the Upanishads, the Puranas, etc. Nana Purana Nigama Agama Sammatam. Also following along the lines of the Valmiki Ramayana also. So someone may say, Goswami ji, you have taken from Valmiki Rishi, copy paste as they say. That is now the trend, copy and paste, everything is done. You have taken from Valmiki Rishi, you have taken from the Upanishads and the Puranas, etc. Then are you any great Kavi, any great poet? You are not going to add anything of your own? You are just taking from here, taking from there, putting together. You know, I had one friend in our batch, in our Sandipani. He used to compose shlokas by doing what? He used to look at all these different stotrams, one line from this stotram, one line from this stotram, one line from this stotram, one line, and made whole new stotram. So Goswamiji, are you like that? You just take from different places, put it together and call, this is my Tulsi Ramayana. What Tulsi Ramayana? Copy paste only. So Goswamiji tells us, wait a minute. By Bhagwan's grace, little bit I have offered also. Kvachit anyathapi. Kvachit means little bit. Kvachit anyatha means apart from what is said in the Valmiki Ramayana and all the other Shastras, I have added Kvachit anyathapi. Even a little bit also has come from me. Means yes, I have taken original material and metamorphosize it into a different language, a different style, with a different bhava of feeling or emotion, keeping in line the Shastra, the scripted Upanishads, etc. But don't think I have not offered something also to this great project. Kvachit anyathapi. Now, you see, this is really Goswamiji's humility. Goswamiji is saying, I have only done Kvachit anyathapi, only a little bit I have added. When we do any great project, you know, sometimes people are doing these research papers for PhD. And that person just asks us one question, but we want to see our name mentioned. Just one question we were asked. You quoted me, my name should be referenced. One question only. Or, you know, in our ashram, you know, sometimes a special event is there. And you have to give at the end of the program, vote of thanks. No, I just came one day in that whole yajna. And by chance, I got the opportunity to put the mala on the Swami that day. And I think I deserve wah. Little we do, but we want the greatest admiration. People who the least expect most. Goswamiji is teaching us a lesson here. Kvachit anyathapi, where I should really see my effort or my self-effort in the grand scheme of things. See, my contribution in the universal cycle, in the universal mechanism called as this entire world of experience, my contribution is very little actually. But the problem is we feel like we are indispensable. That we are the center of this world and the world revolves around us. One time I heard Swamiji say, Are, if you go, this world will run even smoother. But we feel like our contribution is indispensable. Without me. See, whether it be in the spiritual field, in the work field, educational field, whatever it may be, this feeling is generally there in the jiva. That without me, how will anything get done? That I am so great feeling, I am the great contributor. What is Goswami telling us? Kvachit anyatah api. Really speaking, in the grand scheme of things, our contribution, our effort is minuscule when it comes to the grand plan of Bhagavan. Minuscule is our little offering or effort. And therefore, even whatever little we do also, we should offer it to the Lord. Lord, really speaking, this has come from you. Like Goswami says, this is what is said in Valmiki Ramayana, in accordance with Shastra, Upanishad, etc. I mean, taking no ownership, no feeling, this is mine. Especially those who are walking the spiritual path. No one can claim, I own this knowledge. Who can claim ownership? Who can copyright Upanishad or knowledge? You know, right now we are running some classes here in LA, Purusha Suktam classes on Saturdays. And in that YouTube video, we have chanting of Purusha Suktam every week. That Purusha Suktam video, when it is uploaded to YouTube, it gets a copyright flag. That this Purusha Suktam is copyright. So every class there's a copyright issue that this Purusha Suktam means a dispute comes up about this audio. Now who can take ownership of Purusha Suktam? Any professional artist can say, I own Purusha Suktam, a Vedic chant. But we do very little, and even the little we do also, we know how many holes are there. Even the little we do also, how many shortcomings, limitations are there. But we think, I am Mahan, I am great. Kvachit anyatah api. See the humility of Goswamiji. That my effort, my part, or my role to play in this Tulsi Ramayana is minuscule. The glory goes to the great scriptures, the Vedas, the Shastras, and the great Acharya Valmiki Rishi, from whom this Valmiki Ramayana has come about. Glory goes to those who are there before me. See, this vision of thinking is there in our Indian school of tradition and education. In the Western field of education, how can I make my name? How can I make my mark? How can I stay relevant? And in our Indian tradition of education, glory to the Lord. Therefore, even if you are studying the medical field in our Indian Shastriya study, if you are studying medicine also, Ayurvedic science, any Shastra within our Indian philosophical systems, they all have invocation to Bhagavan. Which is why for every field also we have a deity associated with it. For medicine, Dhanvantari Devata. Everything, there is a Devata for it. Why? Glory goes to Bhagavan. Do we have a Devata for cancer research in the West? A deity for cancer research? Company's glory, developer's glory, my glory. Kvachit anyatah api. Goswami says, little only I have offered. That humility in Goswamiji's heart, a lesson for all of us. So the very first line tells us what is the source, origin, and the authority behind this Tulsi Ramayana, but with an added extra masala, extra rasa that Goswamiji will offer. Now only when you go to this Tulsi Ramayana, and especially those who have read or have gotten the opportunity to study Valmiki Ramayana, if you compare this, you will see what is that Kvachit anyatah, the little extra masala or extra rasa that Goswamiji adds to this Tulsi Ramayana. Kvachit, but potent. Little, but potent, no doubt. Ha Goswamiji, now tell me, your little that you have added, why? Why did you, Valmiki Ramayana was already there. Already Upanishads speak of the absolute reality. Why you are writing this Tulsi Ramayana? Goswami says, Swanta Sukhaya. Are? Not because I want to become New York Times bestseller. Or in that time, in your next. What do I want? For reveling. This Tulsidas reveling in only he is writing Tulsi Ramayana. Tulsi Swanta Sukha, for the sake of reveling in Tulsi only, in his own self. Raghunatha Gatha, the glories of Raghunatha, the Lord of the Raghus, Bhagavan Sri Rama, that Bhasha Nibandham, that composition, Bhasha Nibandham means that colloquial, local composition, Bhasha Nibandham, Ati Manjulam, it is extremely sweet. Whenever I see this word Ati Manjula, I think of, you know what, Gulab Jamun in sugar. They call Ati Manjulam. You take Valmiki Ramayana and you dip it in Goswamiji's Bhakti and you pull it out, you get Tulsi Ramayana. They call Ati Manjulam. Valmiki Ramayana is the Gulab Jamun. Goswamiji's love is sugar. You dip it, pull it out, you get Tulsi Ramayana. That Raghunatha Gatha Bhasha Nibandham, Ati Manjulam it is. Super sweet. Atanoti. He says, Tulsi Atanoti. Tulsi created. Tulsi created or wrote or expounded. Atanoti is the verb. To expound, to create. So, Goswami says, for the sake of reveling in one's own self, Swanta Sukhaya, not to please others. Whether we are studying Vedanta, teaching Vedanta, reading something here, listening to satsang, what should be the real purpose for doing any of these things spiritually inclined? Swanta Sukhaya, for reveling in my own self only. To bring joy to my own self. To realize that goal for myself only. To realize that ultimate source of joy for myself only. Swanta Sukhaya. Not to go and teach the world. Not to tell my wife or husband, hey, you know what I learned in satsang today? I learned that the only raft in this world is Bhagavan Sri Rama. Hey, start doing Ram Puja, husband. Huh? Swanta Sukhaya it should be. You start doing Rama Puja. Don't worry if husband or wife or children is not doing or doing. Swanta Sukhaya, for one's own self only. And spiritual sadhana is always this. We should always remember this. Don't look for some external appreciation or measurement or indication that I am progressing on my spiritual journey. No such thing should be there in our minds. Do it for one's own evolution. Offer it to the Lord. This is called Swanta Sukhaya. I don't need any external indicator of, am I progressing? Am I there? Am I there yet? How far am I from the goal? Do it for your own sake. Have faith in Bhagwan and put forth your effort. Don't look for any external measurement or indication or admiration. No such thing. No external indication. Swanta Sukhaya. For one's own self only. Swanta Sukhaya Tulsi Raghunatha Gatha Bhasha Nibandham Ati Manjulam Tulsi Atanoti. Goswami Tulsidas ji writes this Tulsi Ramayana for reveling in his own self only, to bring joy to his own self only. That Ramayana which has its source in the very Valmiki Ramayana, and also in line with, in accordance with the teachings of the Upanishads and all the various scriptures. And a little extra, Kvachit Anyataha. Little extra also is added by Goswami Tulsidas ji. With that, we come to the end of our Ramayana Yajna. Over the last couple of days, we have seen briefly these Mangala Charana shlokas of this Balakandam. I hope that all of us who have attended has benefited in some form or fashion. I know most times when you really study these shlokas, you will find yourself wanting to chant it every day. Somewhere, somehow, you will find yourself picking up this book and chanting. It's so beautiful, Goswamiji's offerings of love to Bhagwan in so many various forms and fashions. so many creative ways also. So again, I wish and hope that everyone has benefited from these days of Yajna, Ramayana, Tulsi Ramayana Yajna, and do continue your journey of studying, of reflecting. And if there is anything that we should take away from this satsang, it is what? Yat pada plavam ekam evahi. The raft, the life support, the only upaya, the only means to take me across is love for Bhagwan. We can go on doing all our things we try to experiment and take up in our spiritual journey. But the real struggle-free part of sadhana is to develop love, surrender, sharanagati towards Bhagwan. Then I can leave it up to the Lord and do my part. So with that, I offer salutations to Goswami Tulsidas Ji, the entire Guru Parampara, and of course, Puju Gurudev, for allowing us to share this beautiful katha and for all of us to come together to revel in this teaching. So now I will pass over to Satish Ji, who will have some announcements. A vote of thanks, I believe, yes.
Sitaram, Hari Om, Param Pujya Sri Vibhuji. On behalf of Sri Anilji and the Bakersfield Chinmay Gokul family, it gives me immense joy and reverence to offer our most humble and sincere gratitude and prostration to you for spending valuable time and efforts in enlightening us with the profound knowledge of Sri Ramcharitmanas, along with the mesmerizing bhajans. These 5 days have truly been divine and knowledge-provoking. From Shraddha and Vishwas to an unequivocal reverence for Guru, the scriptures, and the Lord Rama, we were transported to divinity. We take this opportunity to urge you to please continue this spiritual journey with us, possibly over Zoom due to current circumstances, and if at all possible, as often as once a week. As the time and the circumstances become conducive, we are yearning to host you in person in Bakersfield. Again, our sincere prostrations to you, and please accept our sincere thanks. A couple of announcements. Pujya Vibhuji's discourses will soon be available on YouTube. In keeping with our Chinmaya mission tradition, please offer Guru Dakshina either online or by mail. It helps the mission with the operations and future satsangs. This Sunday, August the 15th, our satsang on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, resumes at 11 a.m. with Sri Anilji. Thank you again, Pujya Vibhuji. Thanks everybody for attending. Sitaram and Hari Om.
Tears in his eyes, with hands folded to listen to Ram Katha. Veera Maruti, Veera Maruti, Veera Maruti, Gambhira Maruti, Veera Maruti, Gambhira Maruti, Veera Maruti, Ati Dhira Maruti, Veera Maruti, Ati Dhira Maruti, Geeta Maruti, Sangeeta Maruti, Geeta Maruti, Sangeeta Maruti, Duta Maruti, Ramaduta Maruti, Duta Maruti, Ramaduta Maruti, Bhakta Maruti, Parama Bhakta Maruti, Bhakta Maruti, Parama Bhakta Maruti, Veera Maruti, Gambhira Maruti, Veera Maruti, Gambhira Maruti, जय सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। Hari Om everyone and Sita Ram to all. Thank you for joining. Hari Om.